You're listening to Indie88. Aysanabee is currently on the home stretch of his first Atlantic and Ontario headlining tour. And again, also has given us a taste of new music as we wait for more. Plus, today we found out he's opening for Blue Rodeo this summer at Bud Stage. But first things first, there's so much going on. Aysanabee joins me again ahead of the big headlining show Friday at Access Club. How are you?
I am doing well. Just got back into the city yesterday, and yeah, it was a great experience. Because we were touring in Australia for a month, and then came back and went straight into the headline tour. So it was like coming from like 38 to -40.
Yeah, that's a swing. That's definitely a good old temperature swing.
Well, yeah, it was crazy because like it was like I remember I'd sent all my jackets back with Nick, my guitar player, and walked out of the airport in Canada, and it was just like all I had like a button up and some sandals on. And I was like, oh, I deserve this. But yeah, no, it was awesome. Like the first shows in the North were so special as well. Like it was, yeah, just really kind of fulfilling and cup filling and reaffirming. You know, like we played the furthest north I played was like Red Lake, Ontario, which is like the furthest traffic light in the north.
Oh, wow.
And like there was people who, like one woman drove 500 kilometers to come see the show. Wow. And I had family coming in from down on driving down the ice roads to come and see the show. And this, like similar things were happening on the East Coast, like in Annapolis Royal in Nova Scotia. Like one woman and her family came all the way from Seattle. And it was just so wild to me. But so grateful. Like every show has been special. So
that's so incredible, and also like impressive feats of travel for your fans to trek out and see you. That must feel so good.
Yeah, it was, like I said, reaffirming and just like obviously like first headline tour. So like there's so much pressure kind of leading up to it. I'm like, oh, hopefully they're gonna go well. Like and. But when you get into those rooms and you just see everyone's faces, and then like it's just like, oh yeah, this is why we do what we do. It's like just that really special human connection. So,
were you playing? Of course, we've got some new music on the way. We assume. Of course, we've got Edge of the Earth, which is doing so well. We're loving it. But I've heard that you're doing a lot more collaborating, getting ready for this next adventure. Can you give us some scoop about playing out or testing those songs live?
Yeah. We have some exciting announcements coming up, and yeah, we just announced. We've teased some new music on socials there, so exciting announcements ahead. And I think because of the headline tour and being able to like give everything space and be able to give context behind the songs and connect with people, like yeah, the response has been really quite amazing. Yeah.
I love that. Now, you've done something really special as well. Is ahead of this tour, you reached out to indigenous artists locally in each spot to see if anyone would be free to open and have kind of like this onslaught of amazing people basically send you messages and send you music. What was that experience like, figuring out who was going to open and putting that out there?
It was really tough. It was really tough. Like I think it was really tough, especially in the more like metropolis areas, like just because you get so many incredible people, asking to perform. And so like I'd asked people to send two things. I asked them to send in a performance video, like even if it was like a cell phone video. Now I know everyone has different resources, and just a paragraph about why they make music. And then I would like go do a deep dive, and it was just incredible to like find so many artists who like put so much dedication into their craft and are putting in those 10,000 hours. And like, so that was like something I looked for, because like this is like a really tough industry, and just to see these people who are doing that and are so dedicated and are like do, like so much sacrifice to in their craft and trying to get out there. And so that was something I found in each artist who joined me.
And it's also kind of a beautiful way to give back. I'm sure you remember your early days and the people who, helped you out along the way.
That was a big driver behind the concept, right? Like it was, like I was talking about the concept for a minute, and then like, your phone listens to you and sends you things on your feeds. And so there was this one video where I I think I had reposted it after too, but it was when I accepted the award at the Junos, and like I'd asked every Indigenous artist to like stand up and be seen, because like it was the most Indigenous artist to ever be recognized, nominated, and so like no one got to see what I saw because like the camera was just on me, but like what I saw was like, you know, this big gala dinner with all this music industry and all these celebrities, but then suddenly just dozens of Indigenous folks stood up across the room, and I remember just getting like pretty fired up about it and being like, oh man, like I was just like, it was two Indigenous women who opened up the door for me, so I'm gonna try and like take the hinges off and take y'all with me, right? And then it just brought me back to like the last thing my grandfather kind of taught me. You know, like he passed away last May, and I went up. My aunt's like, you got like. Yeah, we got like maybe a week left. You should get up here. And so I went up there and I walked into his room, and like the first thing he said was just like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I thought you had shows to do. Like, what do you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to be with you." And so we got to like spend some time and have some really, really kind of special last conversations and final moments. But one of the things he said, he was just like, nearing the end, he was just kind of like, you know, I'm really happy that you took the time. You came up here and we got to spend time. But he's just like, but I want you to do the things that you say you're going to do. And so, yeah. So it brought me back to that promise I made at the Junos, and it's been so special kind of every step of the way, getting to meet these artists and getting to work with them and getting to just kind of build these lasting relationships.
Mm-hmm. When you were starting out, you know, you mentioned the help along the way, but when you are again kind of giving a platform to this maybe new generation or artists that maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise, what is your advice? Like, how are you trying to? I love that you said, you know, they're putting in their 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
What would you tell folks who are just getting their footing?
Yeah, I mean, I would be honest too. Like, it takes a ton of work, but just doing something that's truly just authentic to yourself. And I'd obviously give them a ton of like different other like insights I have, but like I think at the end of the day, like if you don't believe what you're doing, why would other people believe what you're doing? So It's like, I know in this industry people like can get really caught up in trying to make a this or make a that, but like at the end of the day, you just got to keep like, you're the one who sings the songs every day, and you're the one who lives the songs every day. So I think just doing something that's truly special to you and makes you feel alive, makes you feel like yourself, I think that will lead you to the audience you want to be performing for anyways.
I wanted to ask about some new music. Your first record, of course, very based on your grandfather and his story, and moving toward something that may not be. I'm not sure. Is your next record autobiographical, or is it another concept record? You're looking at your label. Is this like top secret? Can we?
I've had an incredible amount of patience up until now, and so I'm gonna try and keep it going.
Oh no!
Yeah, no, I know.
Just creatively, as you were saying, you know, like sticking to what you believe in and being authentic to yourself in that writing process, from transitioning from album 1 to album 2. Maybe that's another question without too much being given away.
I think like everything I write is always very authentic to who I am and like just experiences that I've had and just perspective and the way I live my life. And, you know, I think it brings me back to like, you know, just something my grandmother used to tell me as a kid, like, you're going to have to work 10 times as hard to get half as much. And that's just kind of how I always carried myself through life. And that's just, I feel like, how a lot of, you know, Indigenous families prepare their children for the world. And and some people it can seem kind of like almost like an obsession, like an obsessive behavior, but it's just like, you know, I work tirelessly and I you know, I sacrifice a lot for the art. And I think, you know, I think especially after the loss of my grandfather, you know, it's made me kind of realize that, like, you know, time is a commodity, and like, you know, it is the only commodity we have, and that's something we need to kind of examine more deeply. And it kind of, you know, it kind of calls into question the way I've lived my life as well. So I think, you know, things I've been writing have been speaking to that.
Okay. Well, we're excited to hear more. whenever we hear more. We do know that you are again playing Friday at Axis Club. So excited about this like final show on the tour. This big, it's like your second hometown show of sorts, right?
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and it's sold out, and it's like, you know, the biggest headline show I've put on in Toronto, and it's going to be such a beautiful way to kind of cap off such a, you know, momentous point in my career.
Mm-hmm.
First headline tour. It sounds so weird to say because, yeah, like you know, I've played so many shows once in a while, but I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited for the show we've put on because, like, you know, if you look back, like none of my records actually ever had their own headline tour. So this is kind of a culmination of you know, all my music in a timeline, and to present the songs they were meant to be in the way that they were meant to be presented is special, and kind of feels like the end of an era but the beginning of a new chapter.
I love that. I just have one more question because I find it fascinating that you know, as you gear up towards, you know, your biggest shows, your headlining shows, sold out shows, you also made time on the road to play open mic nights in little spots on days off. And I'm wondering about you. Is it your part of your process? Is it something that fires you up? Is it something that's humbling? Like, what can you tell us about why that made your tour?
It was quite funny. You know, we had a couple of days off and here and there, and like one was during like PEI Music Week, so we went over there and we were in Charlottetown for 2 days. And you know, we were just popping through events, and like we popped in there, and there was this one artist who like did a Skye Wallace cover and then did a Joni Mitchell cover, and then like I had signed up as Evan, and so I went up and I started like impersonating myself. not even impersonating, being like, I'm also gonna play a song by a Canadian artist, and it's this guy who grew up in Northern Ontario, and I heard he grew up in this house. It was like my band was in the corner, like really just cackling, but it was just kind of a one-off that started becoming a thing. And it was wild because we were at the show at the PEI Brewing Company, and I was just kind of like, did anyone come to an open mic? And like this whole section was just like, ah! Like everyone who was at the open mic like came out to the show, and it was just like, yeah, but it was funny because I was probably the most nervous I've ever been for like I'm using air quotations, like it was open mic, because when I moved to Toronto, like I started in playing open mics here just to kind of like, you know, find other musicians and find a community. And I remember being so nervous, like trying out new songs and you know, learning to perform and stuff. And so I think since it had been so long since I'd done an open mic and like stepping on there, like it all came back, and I felt like I was like, oh, like I hope they like this song. So it was a really, really funny moment how like certain things can just kind of trigger you, like bring you back to certain specific times in your life. But yeah, so I ended up doing that again in Halifax, and I was like, this is my first open mic in Halifax, and like everyone cheered, and then I played, and then the host was like, yeah, first open mic, and I was like, in Halifax. I don't think anyone from that open mic came to the show, though. But
you're the best person playing that open mic. They got a show, that's for sure.
But yeah, I think I'm like, maybe that's my brand now. Maybe that's what I do. You know, the Arkells will like tape tickets everywhere. Maybe I'll just go open mics and pop up.
I mean, lucky folks who are checking out those open mics. That's what I'll say. Absolutely. Well, thank you again for taking the time. Congratulations on the tour success, and of course the big show sold out on Friday.